Comedian Tig Notaro and her wife Stephanie direct Dakota Johnson as a woman in her 30s coming out. Let's talk about Am I Okay? Hey guys, Dan here. This is Dan Reviews It. Welcome to my movie review for Am I Okay? This is on Max right now, and it features Dakota Johnson as this woman who is coming to terms with who she is in her 30s and realizing perhaps that she is in love not only with women in general, but she is in love maybe with her best friend, played here by Sonoya Mizuno, who you might know from House of the Dragon or Crazy Rich Asians. And it's all based on the real life experiences of not Tig Notaro or her wife, the directors. No, the writer, Lauren Pomerantz. This is essentially her sort of autobiographical story. So, all right, before we launch any further into this film, let me welcome you into Dan Reviews It. Thank you for finding this video. We've got movie and TV reviews here on the channel, and just about every day, something new goes up. So there's always a lot to check out. With that in mind, please consider subscribing. Click that like button. Comment below. All that stuff, of course, helps the channel out, and I certainly do appreciate it. All right, so you can check this out on Max, like I mentioned, and Dakota Johnson, listen, I think she kind of needed a win after the disaster that was Madam Web. Still easily the worst movie I've seen this year, by a pretty wide margin. And this movie is, essentially, I've sort of given you the plot. I mean, this movie is really just about this 32-year-old woman who is, struggling with a lot of feelings. And why is that? And essentially it's sort of triggered by the fact that her best friend is moving, and she's not really able to deal with it, and she's sort of struggling with, okay, why am I so upset about this? Why am I finding this so hard to deal with? So, when she finds that her friend is moving to Japan, it is this huge, huge issue for her. And so she sort of is doing some self-reflection and all of this, and, figures out, oh my God, I think I may be in love with my best friend. And, more than that, just a lesbian overall. And Jermaine Fowler plays in here, Kiersey Clemens, and Sean Hayes as well. Always love seeing him from the old Will and Grace days. So look, this movie is interesting because when you hear people like Tig Notaro, one of our greatest, current comedians, you would think that this would be a funny movie, but she didn't write it, so all right. But this movie doesn't really come across, I think, with humor the way that it maybe could. And Dakota Johnson can be funny. We've seen that, in a few different spots. So that is definitely kind of a bummer. And I think the plot is very, very loose. We don't dive as deeply, I think, into some of the main issues between the characters as we could. However, those are probably where the negative ends. What I really liked about this movie is its ability to make it not necessarily about the romance of it all, but it really is at its core about friendship. It's about these two lifelong friends, and they are believable as these, long-term friends since grade school, and their characters, specifically Dakota Johnson's, is believable. I think a lot of people sort of cast her aside because she did 50 Shades of Grey. That's kind of where she got her start. And then she did, a couple of forgettable, comedies like How to Be Single. And then she did Madam Web, which was, a huge joke. And I'm sure, kind of embarrassing for her to say, like, yeah, I did that movie, and I not once did I say, hey, shouldn't the script not say this or whatever. Look, I've liked Dakota Johnson, for a while. Whenever I see her in an independent movie, I'm reminded of, oh yeah, this woman can act. Like Peanut Butter Falcon is a great example of that. That is a great movie if you have not seen that. But again, that's one that kind of came and went. Shia LaBeouf was going through some legal troubles at the time, so like the movie just kind of got shoved, under the rug, and people don't talk about it. But that's another really, really good, solid Dakota Johnson performance. And I think, this is another great one for her. I think she is, I would say probably a pretty sexually fluid woman, and there's, a lot in this generation of hers. She's a generation younger than me, that are like that. Like Kristen Stewart comes to mind. Kristen Stewart, I think, could have nailed the hell out of this role, but it might have been a little too on the nose, because she's very open about her bisexuality. Whereas Dakota Johnson, I don't think has ever said, she's bi or lesbian or anything. She might be straight. I really don't know. And that is the beauty of her performance in this movie, because it is so believable. So that part is great. And the relationship, between the two of them, is really, really strong here. I would say by far the strongest part of the movie. In terms of the dialogue, it seems pretty realistic. But again, just not, when I think of Tig Notaro, I think funny. And this is not funny. The directing is fine. I don't believe they've directed any other feature films. I know Tig has directed a few shorts. One of them that she showed at the stand-up show I went to with her. But, I don't know if she's directed any feature films previous to this. And two-handed directing is, I think always a little bit splintered, unless it's the Coen brothers. I think, they can do it great. But everybody else, I think you do maybe feel a little bit of pull, like one way or the other. Like, okay, this maybe is more of a Tig scene, and oh, maybe Stephanie wanted to do this. I don't know. That's just kind of the sense I got with watching it. But the script is great as it is. If you go into it not expecting a comedy, as I did, I think, it's as a drama, straight ahead drama, I think it works. I think the emotional scenes are good, and I think Johnson gives a great performance. So yes, there are some negatives here, but I would say the positives definitely outweigh them. So I'll leave Am I Okay with a B, and you can check that out now on Max. All right, thank you so much for watching Dan Reviews It. I'll see you next time.